it's compulsory for there to be an IPO. It doesn't say that outrightly.
Yeah.
But subsection 5 of section 53 of the PIA talks about how, there can be a transfer of those shares, if it has been approved by the NEC, right? So that's the National Economic Council.
Right.
Right. So National Economic Council of the Federation needs to give an approval, and if they endorse it, then there can be sales, there can be pledges, of those shares that are being held by the federal government, that Mofi and Mofi are holding. So yeah, an IPO can be held.
So this is why we brought you on the show. Solid breakdown, giving a background as to what the act says. Now, the withdrawn press release was talking about a IPO beauty parade, and it's out there on the internet. Everybody can see it, even though it's been withdrawn. What was that? Is that a roadshow? What do you think they were talking about with that beauty parade?
Okay, so a beauty parade, it's a bit different from a roadshow. So a beauty parade is more of like an internal thing.
Yeah.
So in that situation, you are essentially trying to get partners, leading up to the IPO. So it doesn't have anything to do with the IPO as of yet in itself. So you're talking about, finding the right partners, from the advisors to the legal firms to the investment bankers, the guys that are going to bring on board to help you to get the right valuation and all of that. So the roadshow is when you want to go to meet the potential investors to be able to pitch, your case to them and get their investment. But in terms of the beauty parade, that's more of an internal thing, and perhaps maybe that's even why they later deleted it. Like, listen, this is a beauty parade, this is an internal thing. We don't need to start, talking about it publicly for now.
Yeah.
And also in addition to the fact that, as I mentioned earlier when I was speaking, if you're going to have an IPO and they mentioned that it is in its final stages, right? The PIA mentioned that no sale can be done unless it has been endorsed according to section 53, subsection 5 of the PIA, endorsed by the NEC, that's the National Economic Council.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, there was no publication from the NEC that, they had a meeting and then they endorsed that, yes, the NNPC should go ahead to do an IPO.
Yeah.
But, perhaps, like I said, that's why they, withdrew. We don't know. But, in terms of, the NNPC, deciding that they want to list, is something that we definitely welcome.
Should they, now let's assume we jump forward in time and the NEC approves and everything in the PIA goes as forward. Should there be a dual listing, or do you think we're enough for just having it on the NGX? I mean, Seplat is on, and that's a private company. Seplat has a dual listing. So what do you think?
I mean, dual listings are, typically done, when you want to raise, more money.
Yeah.
Typically. So I mean, if you do a dual listing, there are a few benefits that that come out of that. So if you list on the NGX, for example, of course, it's going to help to deepen our local markets. It's going to help Nigerians to be able to participate more directly in a national oil company, which is a national asset, right? So it gives Nigerians more ownership. And then if you decide that you want to take it into other jurisdictions, other markets, say you want to go into London, for example, or New York, for example, that's good. You get to raise more money, you get to meet more sophisticated investors.
Yeah.
But I think the more pressing question is if you're going to be able to meet up with the rigor and the demands from a compliance perspective, from a governance perspective, from a reporting standards perspective. Because I mean, if you look at NNPCL, for example, now we did receive annual reports, I think for the first time in 2023. Right. But before that, we hadn't received any reports for about 40 years, for about 4 decades. So, you need to be able to make sure that you meet up with the standards of these international investors if you want to be looking at going into other jurisdictions to list and raise money.
Yeah.
But going into other jurisdictions to list and raise money, of course, that's going to give you, global visibility, going to open your markets, and it's going to also make you to be forced to be more operationally disciplined, and even perhaps be more disciplined from an ESG perspective, because that's something that international investors look towards.
Thanks for that, and shout out to Mele Kiari Group.